Side of government, we shall be ready with resources and whatever is required. The issue of whether Ugandans are able to be secured to do the voting, that one is guaranteed. Nobody can disrupt the exercise of voting in Uganda.
Political party leaders have therefore been urged to start preparing their party flag bearers for these elections and guide their supporters appropriately.
And it is now incumbent upon political parties to internally organize and field the candidates. On the side of NRM, I am very sure they are flag bearers who already elected some time back.
Upon conclusion of these ongoing engagements, we will be formally announcing the electoral roadmap and want to assure our stakeholders that we will be duly informed and they will be informed in a timely manner so that they participate.
According to the Commission statistics, Uganda has a total of 71,214 villages scheduled to elect their local leaders this round.
Now, some of you are very young, so you may never know what LC1 elections. Actually, they used to be called RCs in 1986, only to become LCs. But let's just walk you through these particular governance structures. So, LC1, you are talking the first level, then LC2 the second level, and then LC3 the third level. So this is supposed to be your village level. And then when you move from LC1, you get to LC2. But the long explanation is what I would like to walk you through. First and foremost, when you talk LC1, you're talking the lowest level representing the village and urban neighborhood, roughly 50 to 70 households. It is governed by a chairperson and a 9-member executive committee. Then LC2, you're talking a parish council composed of all LC1 chairpersons within that particular parish. Its purpose is to serve as an administrative unit responsible for coordinating village activities and settling disputes. Then LC3 is the sub-county/town council, crucial to local government as a unit and with a higher level of authority responsible for planning, budgeting and service delivery. Some of you may not know, but there's also LC4. That's the County Municipal Division Council. It covers several sub-counties in a rural area setting. It acts primarily as an administrative unit, while in urban areas, municipalities, it has stronger administrative powers. Of course, you're familiar with LC5. District Council, the highest level in these LC structures, and it does represent an entire district. It is responsible for policy formulation, development planning, and service monitoring, headed by an elected district chairperson. And some of you were in those polls. Now, of course, these elections have been postponed, not once and not twice, but a few times. So let's get to the postponement of these local council elections, if you may. Now, 10th February 2018, that was by lining up, and the first postponement was July 2023, when we saw the first postponement. And then it was because of a lack of funds. That's the first postponement. So government extended LC1 and LC2 leaders a term by 180 days. Then it was due to lack of funds. Then came the second postponement, January 2024. Another 180-day extension was issued after the previous extension had expired. Again, citing lack of financial and logistical challenges. Then third postponement was in July 2024. Government extended the term again, marking the third postponement within 1 year. But that was not enough. Then the fourth postponement in late 2024, government postponed LC1 elections further to align them with the 2025-2026 general elections, extending terms yet again. Then finally, government has confirmed that this time round, they're not postponing. These elections will be held in 2026. And of course, there have been reactions coming from across the board. And now, following those particular announcement or that announcement holding LC1 elections, the LC1s in Toro are calling for a credible and timely process. Now, they say out there in Toro that they have been operating under very difficult circumstances, residents there questioning the legitimacy of those who are in office, and we have a report from that direction.
Evelyn
Of local government consult with the electoral commission to come up with a day we have this election. This is a public office and this is people's office.
However, other local leaders say prolonged delays in holding village elections have turned sections of the population against current leaders, with residents openly demanding new leadership. These believe the elections will help bridge the growing gap between the leaders and the communities they serve.
Some people have been saying that those people have overstayed in power. Others, they are saying we also want to take over that power because those people, they've eaten enough. And I don't understand what they mean by eating.
With the elections expected to be conducted using the biometric voter verification kit machines, leaders are urging election organizers to be more vigilant. They cite challenges experienced during the recently concluded elections, where system failures reportedly created loopholes for ballot stuffing.
The presiding officers were tiring 3-4 papers to give out. And yet the ones using the machine, their data was intact because they were through the machine, one paper, you can't vote. But where the machine was not working, it was tearing. And others were tearing 2, 3, 4, 6.
How can a country like Uganda
want to continue. Do you think the postponements have in any way affected the LC structures?
No, you are very right, because the lack of elections at that level makes the LC structure look irrelevant to the majority of our people. So that is why it is important, actually, moving forward, that we should never postpone these elections. We must find the resources. Normally, there is always a lack of funding or lack of prioritization for local council elections. And then because of that lack of prioritization, then people think that these are not important. But they are very, very, very important for a country that has chosen the path of democracy. So, and you know that because of that, there has also been some of the corruption and competition. You find a stamp is being held by the chairman and the secretary, each one of them involved in these land sales. So, but now with these elections, it means that people are now going to choose the people who are going to serve them better. And therefore, then clean up at that level, so that, you know, these transactions, land transactions, livestock, is done in a transparent manner, because you also need to promote commerce, you want to promote trade, which actually the PDM seeks to do. But that cannot take place very well when you have leaders that are questionable, that are sometimes now are not interested, or have degenerated in terms of corruption. So this is a new lease of life, where leaders are now going, and I would encourage actually Ugandans to have interest in turning out in large numbers and elect your LOC leaders, so that we can have a base that is very vibrant, that is going to be very critical for our economic vibrancy, political vibrancy, and durable democracy.
It's going to be interesting to see how these pan out, because some people have been in power, holding the stamp. When he's not around, he passes it on to his son. The meeting sits in his compound. Now, changing leadership is going to be a very interesting one. Thank you very much, Dr. Arthur Binomgisha, as we get to the LC1 elections. Now, talking compensation, Cabinet has approved a plan to support households in northern Uganda, aiming to restore livelihoods in areas affected by the Lord's Resistance Army insurgency. According to the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, again, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, each targeted household will receive 5 heifers valued at 1 million shillings each, bringing total support per household to 5 million shillings. Now, the initiative targets Lang, Teso, which were heavily disrupted during the LRA conflict. But Yomusi emphasized that the program is not intended to replace cattle lost during the insurgency, but rather to restore livelihoods and provide relief, helping affected communities continue their recovery from years of conflict.
The people there lost cattle and other resources, and the president earlier on had announced that the government will support these communities by supporting individual households with heifers, so that we can restock those areas and we grow the cattle population in those areas, starting with Acholi, Lango, and Teso. And Cabinet took a decision that each household will be supported with 5 heifers, costing each 1 million, that means 5 million shillings, so that we can address the question of poverty, the question of livelihood, as we try to address the quality of life in those parts of the country. Each household will get the same, irrespective of the kind of loss you made. It is basically a restocking program supporting the areas. It's not compensation that you lost 80, therefore you get 80. You lost 5, no. That's not the spirit.
I'm going to speak to Mr. Bernard Loom, a governance expert, and he's going to join me on this cabinet decision of compensation. Bernard, what's your reaction to this? I bet there are so many families who are receiving this news with a lot of excitement.
Thank you very much, Samson. I think the news that was delivered today by the Minister of ICT and National Guidance is a welcome one to support, households with 5 heifers at $1 million shillings each. It is a goodwill, and I remember the minister said clearly that this is not full compensation. Samson, when we look at the numbers here, personally, I registered for this compensation on the 14th of January, on the eve of the election day, and they said the money is coming soon. If this is genuine, then this is going to have a very good impact on the livelihood of the people. Samson, we are talking about 1.5 million households, and that will translate to about 7.5 million cows per household, for the 1.5 million households. And that is about 7.6 trillion Uganda shillings. There are also discussion that this will be done in phases. And in the community where I come from, they are saying we will start with 4 households per village. And that is about 13 households per parish if you come from a parish. That is fairly big. Now, Samson, here we are looking at northern Uganda. We are looking at actually Lao and Teso sub-region, which suffered the brunt of the LRA war. Now, where war happens, life lost, cattle lost, goodwill becomes secondary because rights have been infringed. And that means the compensation that is coming, I am also happy that the minister used the term goodwill. And that means we still expect full compensation for the cattle that were lost.
From the taxpayer?
From the taxpayer,
Okay.
because this has been going on for quite some time. You clearly remember the story of the Acholi war debt claimants, the Teso war debt claimants, the Lango war debt claimants. Currently, we have a reparation process for Dominic Ongwen, which is in process under the ICC. And we also expect that the same will happen once we have the transitional justice law effected. You remember when Parliament sat in Gulu, this was one of the issues that was discussed before Parliament.
One of the things I'd like to get into is that when you give money to a hungry family for school fees, you know what that will do. Very unlikely that it will be for school fees. They might buy meat. Do you think this money will end up in getting the cows, or it will end up in other channels?
Samson, what we are dealing with now, I can give you the best example of the parish development model, the PDM money. Now, we want to use this money for development, but where our people are, we are still in emergency state, we are still in relief. We have not yet gone to development, and that is why the success rate of the PDM money has been low, because we are still using this money to address emergency issues. We are using this money to address rehabilitation issues and not development issues. And I think if it is not properly crafted, then we may see the same problem with this money.
So what can be done to make sure that this money for cows actually ends up in cows and not end up in the hands of men who want to drink and find a young wife?
Samson, you remember that the first
Them on the cheap. How do you make sure that doesn't happen?
I think one, just like the models of the PDM, we have a mindset change component to this. So we need to transition the mind of our people into this livelihood opportunity, because this is part of building wealth that can sustain families, that can sustain households. You rightly talked about school fees. Once this is not managed well, then we're going to see this money going to school fees. We're going to see this money going into marrying an extra wife and so on. And this will, keep us in that circle, and we'll continue to see poverty deepening in the sub-region.
Afoy Bernard, thank
Afoy,
you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Banch. Now, a delegation of the National Unity Platform NUP leaders, led by the leader of opposition, Joe Senyonyi, held and paid a courtesy visit to party members currently in Luzira, and they are remanded there. Now, during the visit, they discovered additional members, including former election agents who had been detained without the knowledge of the party lawyers. However, their effort to see Dr. Besigye was unsuccessful, as they were informed he was unwell and could not meet any and everyone.
Behind the heavily guarded walls of Luzira prison, several National Unity Platform supporters and members remain on remand following arrests during the 2026 general elections and before. Around 10 minutes to 11 a.m., a delegation of NUP leaders and newly elected MPs led by the leader of opposition, Joe Senyonyi, arrived to visit incarcerated party members and check on veteran opposition leader, Dr. Kizza Besigye. Addressing the media afterwards, Senyonyi said they were denied access to Besigye, who was reportedly unwell, a fact confirmed by his AD, Hajo Bedlutale.
We have visited a number of really political prisoners, you know, the team of the Eddie Mutwes, the Alex Waiswas, the John Mary Sevufus, and several others, Haj Obed Lutale. We have not been able to see Dr. Kizza Besigye. Haj Obed Lutale tells us he's unwell. In fact, his sister, Dr. Olive Kobusinje, was here earlier on. Even she was not able to see him because he is unwell. Haj Obed Lutale tells us the situation for Doctor needs treatment that cannot be accessed here in prisons. That's something he has been talking about severally. He needs specialized treatment.
The delegation also discovered several other detainees, mainly polling agents who had been remanded without the knowledge of the party lawyers. The prisoners expressed concern that some opposition leaders are allegedly negotiating with the government on behalf of prisoners without their consent,
saying they are engaging the state on their behalf to be freed. Number one, they have never come here to see them in jail. And so they're saying, why are those people saying they speak for us, saying they're engaging the state on our behalf to be freed, but they have never come to see us, we have never spoken to them. And so the prisoners are saying, clearly these people are not speaking for us, they're speaking for themselves.
Senyonyi indicated that the detainees referred to such acts as opportunistic, emphasizing that any dialogue must be transparent, national, and not serve only a select few.
They're wondering what deals are being cut, what engagements are happening, because if somebody is speaking on your behalf, you should have a meeting of minds. That has not happened. Their way of looking at political dialogue is, number one, it should be in the open. Number two, it should have all actors involved, and that it should be about our country, Uganda.
The delegation noted that many prisoners remain determined to seek justice through open and fair processes, rejecting backdoor arrangements.
It is the leader of the People's Front for Freedom, PFF, that's the Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago, saying that the party will soon decide on the course of action regarding Chamswa County Legislator Moses Kabusu. Kabusu recently engaged the president over the release of political prisoners, including PFF member, retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, an approach the party says does not reflect its position. Lukwago also noted that even FDC's Yusuf Nsibambi lacked moral authority to meet the president on Besigye's incarceration, as he has never visited him in prison or appeared in court to provide legal support, despite being a lawyer.
Last week, Maokota South MP and FDC party whip lawyer Yusuf Nsibambi led a group of opposition legislators to a meeting with President Yoweri Museveni, an engagement that has since triggered widespread debate, particularly within opposition ranks. Speaking on Sanyuka Television on Monday, Nsibambi said one of the objectives of the meeting was to appeal to the president to release political prisoners.
I have 10 people, actually 9, who are going to be released within 2 weeks or a week.
Now, Kampala Lord Mayor and People's Front for Freedom National Chairman Erias Lukwago has criticized Nsibambi's actions, saying his call for the release of Dr. Kizza Besigye and Hajo Obed Lutale to President Museveni does not reflect the position of the party of that of Besigye's legal team.
And also purporting to speak on behalf of political prisoners, including Dr. Besigye and Obed Lutale, Sam Mogumya, Makoha, who are our members, and others, without ever visiting them or having any conversation with them, or even seeking their consent. is something we don't take lightly. We take exception of, and I've told you, we are going to sit down as a party and see the appropriate action to take.
Lukwago adds that Nsibambi has never visited Besigye in prison nor appeared in court to follow proceedings or offer legal counsel, a situation he says raises questions about his sincerity.
Mr. Nsibambi has never at any one moment had any visit or any interaction with Dr. Besigye, but now he's purporting to negotiate his release amongst the other, alongside the other political prisoners. Very, very absurd and unfortunate.
Lukwago also addressed the conduct of PFF member Moses Kabusu, who attended the same meeting with President Museveni and later appeared in photographs from the event. He says the party had no prior knowledge of Kabusu's participation and that PFF leadership is set to convene to decide how to handle the matters concerning both Kabusu and Nsibambi.
We do dissociate ourselves from his actions. We have nothing to do with what he did. What we are going to do about it is a matter now for the party to handle internally. And trust us, we shall take the necessary steps to address it.
As they disassociate themselves from his actions, I associate myself with your opinions, which are coming in a few. As the country prepares for LC elections, what key qualities and skills should voters look for in the candidate, especially your LC1 chair? Integrity, accountability, service above self. LC leaders must be close to the people and committed to real community development. Your LC1 chair. Who else is here? Prioritize candidates with integrity and community service because local council leaders handle grassroots disputes, resources, and accountability. And without honesty, service record development funds and trust are definitely going to be misused. And then Andrew here says, look for LC1 leaders who have their local who love their local people, are honest, and have a good idea of development pillars. Now, honesty has definitely come very much into the picture there. Let's find out what your leaders are saying. It is Right Honorable Mala Zahara Ruirika, we were scheduled to receive and deliberate on the report regarding the directive to evict street vendors, hawkers, unauthorized taxis, and border riders from the streets of Kampala. However, due to lack of quorum, the matter could not be concluded and was subsequently adjourned sine die. The Council now awaits either a formal recommendation from the SEC in accordance with established procedures or a petition supported by 1/3 of Council members as provided for under the law. That is the fate of people on the streets and borders in an effort to make Kampala orderly and a little more organized. Elias Lukwago, Lord Mayor, today we filed Dr. Besigye and Haji Lutale's petition at the Constitutional Court challenging some obnoxious positions of the Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Act enacted by Parliament in a blatant violation of the Supreme Court's decision that was declared. I also say, I think the Lord Mayor's statements must be mahogany and a little bit muvle and eucalyptus.
More to come.
Coming after the break, fears in the city as we hear of clashes under Barimwezo. But the question is Kampala going to remain the way it is, or are there going to be some improvements? The chaos cannot continue. The trick is that if you want to sound very intelligent and you've run out of big English words, then use names of plants. You are very chameleon and a little elephant and zebra.
At the heart of Uganda's modern furniture industry stands Hwansung,
Experience the white and black metal high glossy kitchen, a reflection of modern elegance built to last. Every detail is designed for convenience, from smooth sliding drawers to integrated dustbin accessories that keep your space spotless. Our flash doors bring nature's warmth into your home, handcrafted to perfection, with a finish that speaks of heritage and strength. Our TV stands and lobby lounge partitions bring beauty into every home. Hwansung makes a difference.
I want to be an engineer. I want to be a chef. I want to be a mechanic. I want to be a musician. I want to be a basketballer.
Twinbrook International School is a school where you will see people from around the world. It's diverse. You will have the opportunity to experience things you've never experienced before. We have highly skilled teachers and a comfortable environment that does not pressure but eases the minds of students to help them into their future careers. Our school integrates art, culture, history, language, and performing arts such as drama, music, and dance into the academic curriculum. Work smart, succeed. Twinbrook International School.
Buy genuine Decra roofing tiles, the original stone-coated alu zinc steel roofing system from New Zealand. Choose from Heritage, Milano, Shingo, Shake, and Classic profiles with a variety of colors and a 50-year warranty. Only available at Depot Uganda. Telephone 0776 898 888 or 0758 853 285. Depot Uganda. Tried, tested, and trusted.
So, Muchara.
Yes, Daddy.
You know the children are going back to school and things are a bit tight. For now, why don't you take half of the fees to junior school, and for the school van contribution, we shall pay later.
Daddy, why don't we pay using MTN Momo, where we stand a chance of winning school fees for a whole year and more? By the way, you can also apply for a school fees loan, and also participating schools can win a school van.
That's right! Win school fees for a whole year and more. Get Momo goodies and a school van for participating schools. You can also apply for a school fees loan. Simply dial *165*80# or use the Momo app.
Take a look around, and you'll see everything can be reimagined. Everything rough can be smooth. Everything old can be fresh. Everything can be made vibrant and full of attitude. The world is what you make it, so why not make it yours? Guinness Smooth. Make it yours.
You got Glovo. You got Glovo.
You can order what you want. You can get what you need.
You got Glovo.
You got it all. Order Glovo and receive it in minutes.
Welcome back. Thank you for watching NBS Live at 9. Now, fears have emerged in
made by council. What the minister is actually doing, it's an illegality.
The clash, according to city politicians and business communities, an early warning that Balimwezo's mayorship may not be fully in bed with KCCA's executive director's wing and the executive.
All Batembe to move out from the streets is a directive. There's no shortcut on that. We are supposed to guide them the right way how to manage them.
But already there is a standing directive by the president. So this issue has been just recurring, and the government has tried to formulate several interventions, but they are not effective.
Clashes between the executive, technical and the political wing under Elias Lukwago had doomed City Hall for more than a decade. City Voices hold that there is a likelihood of a repeat of the same cat-and-rat relationship during the era of Balimwezo unless both wings respect the law and enforcement procedures.
When I had got a petition from the traders of second market that mafias want to take over our land, and the position of KCCA was the second market traders will be compensated to create room for street vendors. And already the place has been already reconstructed.
We no longer have leaders, we have dealers in Kampala. Those who are money-minded, for them they are not concerned about what should be done.
In KCCA, what we should concentrate on is to follow the policies. Because if policies are followed and KCCA has helped people to understand the policies and the laws, really a lot will be done.
On the issue of banning street vendors, Kampala stakeholders call for a special planning to have a harmonized approach without any clash, including operationalizing Sunday street markets.
Good enough, we have engaged with the stakeholders of the Batembe, the leadership of Batembe. We are saying, Banan, we need each other, yes, but for now, leave the street.
Let our comrades be handled. Even I think we can create a special fund to facilitate their transition.
But these rich people, they all went. They left the country. But who remained here to vote? They are those people that you are just chasing them like.
Now, keeping with the same story, Kampala veteran politician Captain Francis Babu has called for mutual respect between the political and technical wings of the Kampala Capital City Authority to foster a harmonized working environment and restore order in the city. According to Babu, such cooperation would help address major challenges in Kampala, including street hawking, unregulated developments and policy clashes during implementation.
Think about order is extremely important in any country. So order is the order of the day. And look at the city. Anybody who looks at our city, which is the face of Uganda, thinks once, one or two times. Now, I don't agree with popular politicians who want to lie. Sometimes there are things you can do which are not very nice to try and bring about order. Frankly speaking, markets, people who work in the market should be in the market. And we have designated areas of markets. Not everybody, because we have a rural urban migration, should turn Kampala into a market. If you want to bring order in Kampala, how do you do it? Do you do it by waiting that it goes away? Close your eyes and when you open it, it's gone away. You need magic to do it? It has, if the government thinks Kampala, and we want investors, we want people who stay in those shops, who are complaining bitterly that they don't get customers. And we've got other people who are worried about the city. Now, we've got to have a limit.
Now, moving on from that, lawyers representing rather retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye and Obed Lutale have petitioned the Constitutional Court challenging the reenactment of the UPDF Act. They argue that the law re-establishes the General Court-Martial with expanded jurisdiction to try civilians and non-service offences. Lead lawyer Arias Lukwago warned that newly constituted GCM could soon take over cases previously referred to civilian courts, raising concerns about the erosion of judicial oversight and civilian legal protections.
In their petition, Besigye and Lutale contend that the new act was passed hastily and in an irregular manner without according the public and other stakeholders an opportunity to give their views. These maintain that the new act completely ignored the orders of the Supreme Court passed in the January 2025 Michael Kabazuguruka judgment, which gave specific orders regarding the composition of the court. According to their lawyer, Arias Lukwago, the army officers of the General Court-Martial are not qualified judges.
That Brigadier Tukachungurwa and these colonels are not seized with the competence to handle matters of that nature, of that magnitude. Even if they involve military officers, say for example, to handle matters where the sentence is death, they have no capacity and competence.
The pair are worried that with the General Court-Martial soon starting work, the civilian cases may be returned to it for hearing.
There are those whose files were not transferred to the civilian courts. Now they just want to take them back to the General Court-Martial. There are many. And we have also had maneuvers being made. Even files that had earlier on been transferred to the to the civilian courts, they want to switch them back to the General Court-Martial.
Besigye now wants the Constitutional Court to issue orders stopping the General Court-Martial and all division court-martials from handling cases involving civilians because they are composed of members who are serving military officers whose allegiance is with the High Command, something he claims undermines judicial independence.
Tukachungurwa and his colleagues have been sworn in and they are about to start business. But the order they took is to pay allegiance to General Museveni as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, but not to pay allegiance to the Constitution or to uphold the Constitution and the law. And that is a conflict of interest which cannot serve the interest of justice.
The Speaker of Parliament, Anita Omong, has led a Ghanaian parliamentary delegation drafting the anti-homosexuality bill and urged them to resist external pressure and uphold African cultural norms. A Ghanaian parliamentary delegation led by second Deputy Speaker Andrew Asima Amoaka is in Uganda to learn from the country's experience in passing the anti-homosexuality bill. Now, the Speaker says Uganda is proud of passing the controversial Anti-Homosexuality Act in spite of the international sanctions imposed on some leaders. Amoako stated that Ghana aims to learn from Uganda's experience, citing the benefits of preserving African culture.
We are here to take the mantle that Uganda a couple of years started. That is about fighting for African values. They have prepared the way we probably understand the program. But we realize that we have people who have really gone through the mill and therefore took time of our busy schedule to come and share with them what we've done so far and ask for directions as to whether we are on the right direction.
As we fight and preserve the values, you must know that there are detractors out there. The detractors that are out there would not want us to preserve our cultures and our values. For instance, the issue of Uganda, we have tried our best and we will do our best. We've had a scenario we passed the anti-homosexuality law I was I was sanctioned. I am still sanctioned, but I'm still alive and proud of what I did. I think when Sarah was sanctioned somehow, halfly, and they reversed it. But I want to just re-echo to you that as leaders, the African problems can only be solved locally by us. If we do not sit at a table like this and have this problem solved, nobody is going to come from anywhere to solve them.
Now, staying with the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among has announced that government plans to release all individuals detained during the election period, particularly those found not guilty of the offences. She made the remarks while meeting 10 newly elected members of Parliament at the NRM headquarters. The MPs initially contested as independents after disagreements in party primaries, later pledged allegiance to NRM after winning their seats. Among said that although party rules do not automatically absorb independents, NRM leadership continues to work with them to promote unity and loyalty. She also addressed concerns raised by party supporters over political tensions in some regions and assured that detainees without criminal charges would be freed. NRM Deputy Secretary General Rose Namayanja said agreements with the members of Parliament will be formalized to strengthen cooperation in Parliament.
We have members of Parliament who are opposition, who are ready and willing to come and cooperate with us. And they will come and sign and cooperate with us. If you look at the 11th Parliament, we virtually didn't have opposition in the House. We were all talking the same language. So I don't understand when you say that most of the people are in prison because they're in prison. One thing we need to distinguish is criminality from politics. If you're a criminal, you are in wherever you are because you're a criminal. And then distinguish politics from it. However, if we want to have a dialogue, we are going to start dialogue, reconciliation, and all those who do not have any case will get out. They will get out. The presumption of innocence will be maintained. You should not mind, we will have those innocent people out if they are innocent. But they are not inside because of politics. They are inside because of criminality.
This is not the first time that we are going to sign MOUs. We have been signing MOUs, but this symbolizes that there is a formal arrangement of working together. There is a formal arrangement that we are working together, but what it means is that they now attend the party meetings, and particularly the NRM caucus. They become members of the NRM caucus, they participate in NRM programs, and they also vote with the NRM when it comes to matters of voting in the August House. If we have retreats, they also come and participate in our retreats and all the other meetings.
New Tusker Premium Cider. Crisp, delicious apples crushed and blended to create a unique taste explosion.
Stop! Time for inspection. What do we have here? It looks like you didn't hear about Move It Back to School promotion. Students, tell him! Buy and win in the new term near you. Back to school promotion. Buy any of our focus products. Movit All Day Toothpaste, Movit Herbal Jelly, Movit Baby Jelly, and Movit Shower Gel worth 5,000 Uganda shillings and you win a pen. Buy products worth 25,000 shillings to 44,000 Uganda shillings and you win a mathematical set or lunchbox. And when you buy products worth 45,000 Uganda shillings and above, you win a school bag and many more prizes. Terms and conditions apply. Movit All Day Confidence.
It's back, bigger, and with more business opportunities. It's the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo, Poate 2026, Uganda's flagship tourism event. Poate 2026 will take place from the 21st to the 23rd of May 2026 at the Speak Resort Convention Center, Munyonyo, under the theme Wanderlust. It's your time to thrive. Yes, it's your time to tap into Uganda's renewed optimism and tourism growth. Tourism stakeholders, travel trade partners, and tourism enthusiasts will be part of the Poate 2026. Come and network with like-minded people and unlock new business opportunities. To participate, register at www.poate.co.ug. Poate 2026 is brought to you by Uganda Tourism Board and partners.
Today is a good day to draw up a new play. So start something. Make your move and get in your groove. Do it for the gram. Do it for the culture. Be loud. Be extra. Be a thinker. A life eater. A Tusker light drinker. Start something. Turn on your lights. Tusker lights.
In today's world, opportunity is digital. Is your education keeping pace? At Cavendish University, Uganda, we don't just use technology. We're built around it. Our state-of-the-art digital portal and our world-class public health laboratories are your launchpad. Because here, we focus on one outcome: your success. We equip you with in-demand digital skills, critical thinking, and real-world experience. We don't just award degrees, we prepare you for gainful employment and entrepreneurship globally. Enroll with Cavendish University Uganda this semester. Registration is ongoing. Cavendish University Uganda. Your success begins here.
Maria, I'm going to make the mandazi you like today. This is my wife Maria's recipe.
Maria! Maria, we've got the loan! We've got the loan!
But tell me, what's the secret to your success?
Maria is my inspiration. Everything that I do is to make Maria proud.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Here's how you chase that gray away. You're a hot air balloon that can go to space. With the air like you don't care, baby, by the way. Today
Welcome back. Uganda's People's Congress, or UPC, President Jimmy Akena has accused the Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue of undermining fair political competition during the recent general elections. He claims IPOD's failure to release illegally mandated funds disadvantaged opposition parties, limiting their ability to mobilize supporters, conduct campaigns, and compete effectively. Despite UPC securing 12 parliamentary seats, Akena argues that timely funding would have improved the party's performance and enabled it to win more positions. He further questions IPOD's commitment to inclusive democratic processes.
And everybody, Jim Akena.
IPOD of recent times has not been operating effectively. The leadership of IPOD is supposed to be 6 months rotational. When NRM assumed the leadership at the signing, that would I think around May 2022, they did not hold any meetings. So there are a lot of things which got stuck in the process. Now you asked about the funding. The funding under the law is for political parties representation in parliament. But during elections, the funding is done equally. So for the 2021 elections, the funding for political parties across the board was 10 billion. But how the funding was supposed to be released has never been effected. When they tried to effect it, they effected it with malice. That's when they now try to lock out NUP from the funding. And they ended up locking out all political parties. For the 2026 election, the funding which was agreed in Kororo across political parties was supposed to be 27 billion, which meant that all political parties, UPC was entitled to 4.5 billion. That one, I did not expect it. And because the circumstances and the clarity behind it was not there. But the 2 billion, which had been cleared before, which had been discussed, which the president said it was morally wrong of NRM for not releasing that money. The fact that we've gone through 2026 election without that money again being released, I raised in Parliament, it was diabolical. Now I'm saying it is satanic.
Now, moving on to tonight's regional wrap, there is growing opposition in the Democratic Republic of Congo over a controversial mineral deal with the United States. Elsewhere, Washington is preparing to deploy over 200 troops to Nigeria as Islamist violence intensifies. And finally, at least 20 people are dead after Cyclone Gazani tore through Madagascar. Here is the latest from across the continent.
Opposition is mounting in the Democratic Republic of Congo over proposed strategic minerals partnership with the United States. President Felix Tshisekedi returned from Washington last week after attending a critical minerals summit where he offered U.S. companies access to Congo's vast and largely untapped mineral reserves, estimated to be worth $24 trillion. In return, Congo is seeking U.S. support to help fight rebel groups in the east and develop critical infrastructure. The deal is part of Washington's broader push to secure supply chains for strategic minerals such as cobalt, copper, lithium, and coltan, key components in everything from smartphones to fighter jets, and to counter China's dominance in the global rare earth market. But back home, critics say the agreement threatens Congo's sovereignty. Civil society groups and lawyers have filed legal challenges, accusing the government of underselling the country's mineral wealth. Analysts say while the agreement strengthens U.S. strategic interests, Congo's immediate gain appears largely political recognition from Washington. Meanwhile, Washington has also been conducting surveillance flights over Nigeria from Ghana since late November. President Trump has accused Nigeria of failing to protect Christians from militant violence. Nigerian authorities deny any systemic persecution, saying security operations target armed groups attacking both Christians and Muslims. Boko Haram and Islamic State West Africa Province fighters have intensified attacks on civilians and military convoys, particularly in the northwest, the epicenter of a 17-year insurgency. And in South Africa, at least 20 people have been killed after Cyclone Gezani made landfall in Madagascar. The storm struck the eastern port city of Toamasina with winds exceeding 195 kilometers per hour, destroying homes, collapsing buildings and triggering widespread flooding. Authorities say more than 18,000 houses have been flooded, damaged or destroyed, along with hundreds of classrooms and health facilities. Red alerts were issued across several northeastern regions with warnings of flash floods and landslides as the storm moved inland. Forecasters say Gezani's landfall ranks among the most intense recorded in the region during the satellite era. The storm is now moving towards the Mozambique Channel and could regain strength as it approaches mainland Africa.
Business Pulse.
Now let's have a look at some business this evening. Now, the Bank of Uganda held an auction for 3 government bonds with maturities of 20, 10 and 3 years, alongside Treasury bills of 91, 182 and 364 days. Now, the auction comes amid sustained investor interest, even as signs emerge of easing yields and a cautious domestic borrowing strategy by the government.
2025 was a good year for investors in the Ugandan government securities markets, specifically the bond market. This is because in March alone, the government raised about 1.85 trillion shillings, followed by 1.86 trillion shillings in June, then a record 26.9 trillion shillings in July.
Even though treasury bills dipped mid-year, however, they have also presented reasonable returns between 9.5% to 12%.
As a result, the yields on these remain relatively high, especially for the long tenor bonds. For the 2-year bonds, 16.25% for the 5-year bond, 17.75% for a 15-year bond, and nearly 18% for the 25-year maturities, showing an upward sloping yield curve, typical of markets compensating investors for long-term inflation risks. However, according to the Executive Director Research at the Bank of Uganda, Dr. Adam Mugume, the last few auctions have showed yields edging lower.
In part because also the domestic borrowing by government, I think by end of January they had already taken more than 3/4 of what they want. So ideally that also supports the yield is coming lower. To date we have raised more than 11 trillion on domestic borrowing. So the debt market overly subscribed.
In the money markets, liquidity has been relatively tight, with monetary aggregates growing in the ranges of 8 to 9%, thus warranting the maintenance of the monetary policy stance by the central bank.
If you look at the interbank rates, overnight is still in the range of 10 plus. The same story with the 7-day rate. You will see that actually although the prices indicated that the liquidity is still relatively tight.
And for the forex markets, the shilling gained against the United States dollar even on election day on account of a number of factors.
3 major drivers. One is coffee, $2.4 billion. We have had gold also, which has brought in 6.6. But we also want to congratulate our farmers for cocoa. Cocoa has done extremely well. It is number 3. Then we have had remittances. We have been able to tap there approximately 1.7 billion, tourism 1.6 billion, and also offshore investment, the offshore portfolio investors.
Now, today, the government returned to the domestic market to raise money through Treasury bills and bonds. Focusing on Treasury bills, these are short-term government securities, meaning that investors lend money to government for a defined period and earn interest in return. Now, let's have a look at the options that they looked at. These are the 3 options looking there. Firstly, we have a 3-month bill that's 91 days at 10.5% annual return. Also, the 6-month bill, 182 days at 12%. That's annual return as well. And you also have the 364 one-year bill at 12.5% over there. That is the return. Now, as expected, the longer the maturity, the higher the return, compensating investors for, of course, locking in their money for longer. But what stood out in today's auction was demand. And let's have a look at that. If you can see right here that government intended to raise about 255 billion shillings, but investors submitted bids worth more than 1 trillion shillings. That is nearly 4 times the target. Now, that level of oversubscription signals strong investor appetite. You're asking me what all of this actually means. Is that particularly the one-year instrument, which offered the highest yield, it also reflects continued confidence in government securities and the attractiveness of returns currently above 12%. Now, in summary of all of this, government successfully raised the funds with exceptional strong demand, especially for the longer dated Treasury bill. That's what you can see over there. Now, moving away from all those numbers, Watu, a motorbike loan company, has launched Watu Shule Driving School in northern Uganda, aiming to enroll 20,000 students nationwide. The school already has 10,000 enrollments and focuses on improving road safety by training skilled riders through a hands-on instruction and issuing permits to local motorbike operators.
3, hooray!
Watu Shule Driving School has been launched in northern Uganda, targeting over 10,000 riders to add to the already 10,000 enrolled riders across the country. Damian Guerut, country manager, says as Watu, part of the reflection was on the accident statistics across the country, paving way for the company to give back to its customers.
Road accidents are still way too many in Uganda. Last year, I think, has even increased compared to 2024, almost 6,000 road accidents, more than 50% of them involving border riders. And last year even saw an increase in number of these accidents which are fatal. So it remains a very, very big problem. And for us as a stakeholder, a partner in this border ecosystem, we feel we have to do our part.
We're very excited to launch it in the north today, and we are hoping that through your partnerships and your support, we're going to be able to scale even beyond the 10,000 enrollments to possibly 20,000 by the end of this year.
Stakeholders like police emphasized discipline among riders, saying what is doing has been overdue.
That owning a permit is not enough. There is a process that one must go through, and one is training. We have got very many people who are riding, who are driving, but they have not been trained.
A border rider is always, for him, he thinks he's always, he's the one who knows how to use the road. Whether he has entered the road through the right way or the left way, for him, he doesn't care. Let us stretch it as a point while training these people in our training school.
To the borders and the association, this is more than a gift to the community.
I remember last time they also come with the initiative of Watu Simo. Watu Simo also support the entire riders. You know, some of the riders, they cannot be able to buy a phone cast.
When we look on the ground, we find that most of the riders, they're dying, or some of them, they are getting serious accident.
On the issues of motorbike trackers, the company says it's for their safety than malice.
We have a tracking of their guarantors and their next of kin to ensure that if at all they have passed on in the case of any eventualities, we have people that we can get in touch with to support their families.
It's not here to spy on what the rider does. Unfortunately, border theft is a very important issue in Uganda, everywhere, and I would say even in particular in the north, where bikes travel easily to Sudan or Congo on the Arua side.
Now, let's look again as to how the shilling was faring against major currencies. Looking at the US dollar, they're buying at 3,530.23 and selling at 3,540.23, while the British pound was buying at 4,818.76 and 4,834.18 over there. Straight to the regional currencies, like the Kenyan shilling was buying at 27.34 and selling by 27.46. Meanwhile, the Tanzanian shilling commodity prices, a monthly energy inflation is what we're looking at today. Cooking gas, which many of us have been buying. Now, December in 2025, the price remained pretty stable there. You're seeing that 0.0%, while in January, negative 0.2%, which means that the prices were slightly lower for the gas. Petrol, on the other hand, in December was 0.2%. Good news for you, I guess, in terms of the price being slightly lower, whereas in January, the difference is the price went up slightly. Now, firewood, on the other hand, December 2025, 7.0% went up. January also went up at 1.3%. Those are monthly energy inflation for today. And now for sport, the National Council of Sport and Makerere University have officially handed over the Makerere University playgrounds for development ahead of the AFCON 2027 that Uganda will host alongside Kenya and Tanzania. The Makerere University ground is part of the 8 training grounds earmarked for the Continental Showpiece.
The main client, as you heard, is National Council of Sports, but who are partnering with us as Makerere University. It's a huge relief for Makerere University because we have been planning a stadium here for more than 30 years, but we had never got the money to begin the work. So this is a huge relief for the university because finally it is a dream come true. The stadium will not just be a stadium for Makerere University, it will be a national stadium which will be accessible by all people who want to use it. Of course, there will be a management to determine a timetable when people can use it.
We are going to deliver quality work, timely work, and work of value. So that is what we are going to do.
We work together with the client, with our landlord, Makerere University, to design a facility that is not just for football. This facility that we are going to build here will do football, will do rugby, but also we'll do athletics.
So we are doing 2 roles. Usually we want to be in a comfortable position of being contract managers, but now we are project managers. So the implication is a lot. There is a lot of work. We are stretched, but we want to promise that what we started, we are going to finish.
Uganda shillings 21 billion, 862 million, 855,273 shillings. That is the money we are going to spend on this work. For all the works, it has been well calculated. The bills of quantities and the drawings will be passed to the client and will be given to the supervising engineers. So you don't need to worry about this. Because this is public fund, we shall make sure the information is available to all stakeholders. Maximum duration for us to stay here with all handover and the rest is 80 months maximum, but 7.5. That is what we budgeted for.
friendly wa fe emuteni yo ya dala. Gambati best friendly emuteni yo ya dala nyo.
Tutandikidde Kampala naye tugendagenda mu ggwanga lyonna nga tugaba school fees wa mwaka mulamba.
Twebaza Omukama okuba nti nno atuwadde omukisa guno ate ne MTN okuba nti esasulidde omwana fees ez'omwaka omulamba ebe tutikudde omugugu era kuba sente ezo ziba nnyingi nnyo.
Sasula school fees ng'okozesa Momo. Onyiga star emu mukaaga ttaano star 80 hash ng'osasula school fees w'omwana wo essomero nga liwangula school van naawe bw'oba kwegamba nga embeera ekukuttemu ng'ofuna school fees loan weewaawo.
Today, we choose our future. We choose peace. Let's protect our home from violence. Differing choices are part of democracy. Every voice matters. Every vote is for our shared country. Trust in the process and the electoral bodies. Let's vote with our hearts and minds, without provocation and intimidation. This is home. Let's keep it safe. Let's talk peace.
Nail House has provided Ugandans with the best furniture solutions.
Looking for a vacation of a lifetime? Cross the equator and discover Pineapple Bay Resort. Enjoy exceptional life's luxuries. Spend quality time with family, friends, or even that special someone. Get in touch with nature with our range of outdoor activities. The calming tranquility of water, breathtaking views, moving memories around campfires. It's all here. Plus, a club experience like no other at Pineapple Bay Clubhouse. It's a whole vibe. You can hire any of our 3 VIP cruise boats for groups of 10, 14, or 25 people. Or you can cruise out with Swipe on a luxury yacht for 12 people. Our premium boats are all safety compliant. Make your next vacay an all-round experience at Pineapple Bay, located on Bulago Island, right in the midst of Lake Victoria. Talk to us today.
Hey travelers, are you a family gearing up for that big vacation, a hustler working abroad coming home, or your squad chasing sunsets and passport stamps? It's time you lock in. Say goodbye to long airport queues, shocking roaming bills, and the stress of hunting for local SIM cards, because now you can travel like a local. Stay connected in over 180 countries. Just scan, tap, and boom. Instant data the moment you reach your destination. Get your Rogue Travel eSIM today at travel.roguetelcom.co.ug. Contact us on 020-5000123.
The Bible says that everything that has a beginning does have an end, and we have wound out. Wednesday it is?
Can you believe it? It feels like a Thursday, a little bit.
It feels like a Tuesday.
A Tuesday?
Absolutely.
Oh, there is something happening on Thursday, which is tomorrow. That's happening on the Morning Breeze.
We get to host the Deputy Governor for the Central Bank. They've been here. Professor Nwagaba and Dr. Michael Atingego.
I'm looking forward to that conversation. Definitely looking forward to hearing how the year went.
No, absolutely. I think the Uganda shilling is holding out, isn't it?
It is, actually, pretty much. Even after all of the turbulences throughout, it has held up.
Absolutely. Good. It makes very good sense if you have a bit of it, the Uganda shilling.
Colleague, the money is still coming.
I don't know why, for some reason, on my end it came.
Reuters requests for comment. Asad Beg, Al Jazeera.
A tropical storm has killed 20 people.